You'll feel something in your body. You'll feel an early sign, and you have a choice. Do you continue or do you stop? I'm Heather Grzych, and this is the Wisdom of the Body podcast. This podcast explores the idea of body intelligence as the real key to learning the knowledge of life, or what we call Ayurveda in the ancient language of Sanskrit. We do that by connecting with today's creative leaders and experts who will help you listen to your body, trust your gut, and live in deeper harmony with nature. Come join me as we unlock the golden door to clear, direct perception and become very deep listeners. You can find the Wisdom of the Body podcast on Apple, Spotify, and Stitcher. You can also follow us by joining my email at heathergrzych.com or on Instagram at heathergrzych. I know you're going to love this podcast, so take a second right now to subscribe. Anybody here high achieving? Anybody? There was this movie I watched once. There was a guy, it was called Whiplash, really good movie. Okay, so there's this guy who's a drummer. He's a young guy. I think he's in high school, maybe college. I think he's high school. And he's just obsessed with being the best drummer. He's absolutely obsessed. And he goes to any lengths to be this best drummer and, meet this goal that he has set for himself. So he's set this goal and he'll do whatever it takes to get there. And I know that that is something a lot of us do. I've been, fairly goal oriented at times in my life. I was an athlete. I was really, good in school. I was magna cum laude in college and stuff like that. So I get that desire can drive us. Desire for some outcome can really drive us. And I think it's really healthy, actually. I think it's healthy to have that desire for an outcome and to let that motivate you. I think it's really healthy and fun and a whole bunch of other things. So not knocking that at all. But sometimes we need a break. Sometimes we find ourselves in a situation where a break is actually the best thing to do. Now, I'm not saying it's a really long break. Breaks are also of different magnitudes, right? Sometimes just taking an afternoon off is a break. Sometimes a couple of days is a break. Sometimes a couple of months is a break. Sometimes a year is a break. So the question is, though, when do you know it's time to take a break? When do you know? There are some very obvious instances in which you know you need to take a break, right? So you injure yourself very badly because you're blinded by your obsession. There's some injury that prevents you from your day-to-day life, just the activities in your day-to-day life where you have no choice but to take a break because there's been some injury. Although if you watch that movie Whiplash, you'll see that the character, he gets in a car accident, he's got blood all over him, and he still pushes forward and makes it to the performance and just, insane. And we love those stories. Actually, I remember the World Series, it was the first World Series that the Red Sox had won in decades, right? It was so long. I'm a Red Sox fan. I grew up in Rhode Island. And if you're in Rhode Island, you either grow up as a Yankee fan or a Red Sox fan. In my house, we were split 50-50. My mom and I were Red Sox fans and my dad and my sister were Yankee fans. But I remember when, I think his name was Kurt something, the pitcher for the team, Kurt Schilling was his name. He had this really crazy injury on his ankle and played through the game as a pitcher, and he shouldn't have been doing it. Just with the kind of injury that he had, he definitely made his injury worse. But it was a World Series, and this person was the inspiration for the whole team, as a pitcher often is, right? Your pitcher's often an inspiration, or your shortstop. If you just have some kind of star player, you have natural leaders on a field, but you also have sometimes a star player. And he was both of those things, and he was inspiring his team members, and he played through it. And I remember the little, prickles on my skin. And I remember that. He felt that that was worth it for him. He did. And it's not like he couldn't do it. He was able to do it. I have no idea if they like popped him full of painkillers or something. I've played softball most of my young adult life, and people would wake up in the morning and pop all kinds of painkillers because they were in so much pain. So sports can be really hard on your body. But other things that you do in life that you're very goal-oriented on can also be hard on your body. Even yoga. Yoga can get us very goal-oriented, or being obsessed with a project at work, or trying to get pregnant and going through IVF and, destroying your body with that. There's a whole bunch of things that we do because we have a goal and we have a way that we are getting toward the goal. And our body is not happy with whatever we've done. That we are actually, because we have this goal, there are other parts of our body, because the goal may involve your body as well, but there are certain parts of your body that are becoming forgotten and neglected, and they start to suffer, or they become injured because you have tunnel vision and you don't realize that, like, oh, I didn't realize my foot was there. So there's a lot of different ways that this can manifest. Sometimes your body forces you to take a break. Sometimes your body forces you to take a break. And other times it's more subtle and not as easy to detect that it's time for a break. So we're pretty tolerable people, and you may be a very robust person. The more robust you are, the more insults you can handle, the better your coping mechanisms, the more insults you can handle, But when is that time when you recognize you must take a break? And just go back to like a moment of your life where you knew it was time to take a break. Like you had no choice. You had absolutely no choice but to take a break because you were not able to continue forward. Some moment probably comes to mind. Like you get in a car accident, you can't drive forward anymore. There's something there that changes that for you. Now, with the subtle damages that we do to ourselves because of things going on in the environment, or because of just trashing ourselves, just being hard on our bodies because of this narrow focus on the goal, these subtle things they're more tolerable. You can deal with them a lot longer. And then the more you deal with them, the more you accept that they're there, and the better you get at dealing with them. And then usually, unless it escalates, there's nothing that your awareness can sort of point to and say, oh, there's been a change. If you're just consistently dealing with the same thing all the time, you get used to it. So if you get used to something, you're not as motivated to make a change. Once you become used to something, you have acclimated to it. It has become tolerable to you. And that happens with pleasure and pain. And that happens with the foods that you eat. It happens with drugs that you take. That happens with doses of love, of certain feelings, good feelings and bad feelings, that we become tolerant of them. We become tolerant of them and we don't see them anymore. And especially if we're not paying attention to our body. So the more you pay attention to your body, the more that you take a little bit of time every day. It could only be just 5 minutes. That could be enough to get in touch with your body, the whole body, get in touch with the whole body. So if you have a yoga practice that you do, or you have Tai Chi, or you have some kind of walking meditation that you do, or yoga nidra, where you just lie down on the floor and do body scanning, something like that, that if you have some body awareness every day and you're checking in, you at least know that you're paying attention. You at least know that you're paying attention. And to me, this is why that Ayurveda is not for everyone. And it's people who have more body awareness who can actually do better with Ayurveda. Because if you're in your body and you're feeling your body, then you have a greater chance of being able to reverse something earlier on in an imbalanced stage, you have a greater chance of being able to feel when things are going off earlier if you're paying attention. And that's why a lot of people feel frustrated when they engage with the medical system, because the medical system is actually not set up for people with body awareness. The medical system is set up for people who are having emergencies. And you typically are having an emergency when something has gone on for a long time, or if something has happened very drastically, or if there was an accident. But it's these subtle things that also can add up to a disease later on if they keep going. And if you're not paying attention, like people often wonder like, oh, what's the cause of this disease? And it's sort of baffling that we can't figure out. We're living in our bodies. We're living in our bodies. And it's sort of baffling that how could this be happening under my watch? How could this be happening? How could this be occurring while I'm in my body? Like I'm here, I'm in this, and how could this be happening? And there's this very strange sense of being violated once that happens. Like we lose trust in our body. But then we have to stop and we have to say, did I give you enough attention? Did I really listen to you? Did I really pay attention to you? Did I really notice what was happening with you? Did I really notice that? But once we start to tolerate something, maybe we did notice something, but then we said, oh, it's not that bad. I can tolerate that. And you just kind of keep going with that. It's not that bad. I can tolerate that. Well, in time, that has an effect. In time, that has an effect. So when you are paying attention to your body and you're noticing things earlier, then you can actually notice earlier when it's time to take a break. You can notice that there is a change happening that you're not a fan of. And you know that if you continue down this path, something worse is going to happen if you're paying attention to your body. So you can actually detect when it's time to take a break earlier. So this is if you risk of having burnout. This is if you're at risk of like hurting your neck or, activating an injury or getting a gut issue. I mean, literally anything. You'll feel something in your body. You'll feel an early sign and you have a choice. Do you continue or do you stop? And sometimes you're not sure. And this is where breaks come in. Okay. So a lot of people don't like to make changes because they don't want to have to let go of something. They're afraid. I don't want to let go of that thing that I like to do. Like, I really like to eat ice cream. I don't want to stop eating it. I know it's messing with my gut, but I really like ice cream. And maybe there's a little party that's like, it's not the ice cream. Or maybe, oh, it's only this one ingredient in this ice cream. It's this one ingredient in this ice cream. And if I just get an ice cream that doesn't have that ingredient, that really harmful ingredient in it, then the ice cream will be fine and I will be fine. And so you do that and you go get that ice cream and you maybe go get like a coconut ice cream or some other kind of ice cream, but it's still frozen and creamy. So in large part, it's having a similar effect on the body. It has slightly different substance that it's made with, but it still has a lot of the same qualities. And so you do this, you think you're smart, and you change that and you'll experiment, and the issue is still there. So sometimes you don't know if you need a break. Sometimes you don't know if you need to stop. But if you take a break, you can actually study that. You can be like, I'm just not going to do this for a week or something. Just see what happens. Let's see what happens if I just stop doing this thing for a week and see how you feel when you take that break. Does that negative pattern start to reverse? Does it change? If that negative pattern stops going this way and starts going in the opposite direction, then you're onto something. So it's really good to take breaks. And, for me, because I wrote my master's thesis on fasting, it's something I love to do with people. You can fast from anything. You can fast from food. You can fast from water. You can fast from people. You can fast from activities. You can fast from your phone. You can fast from thinking about something. You can fast from working on something. You can fast from a lot of different things. And it's extremely powerful because one of the most difficult things that humans deal with in their life is loss. Oof, it's a doozy. Loss is like, it's the worst, right? So if you can work with your feelings around losing something, could be something very trivial, and just observe how you are, how you feel inside when you feel a loss. And if you're losing something that was bad for you to start with, you're going to feel better physically. You're going to physically feel better if you're losing something. Now, there's some exceptions to that because we do have withdrawals. Withdrawals are a real thing to certain substances, to certain emotions, things like that. So once you get past the withdrawal period, if you feel better, then you know that that was a good change. So breaks are really important. This is why I'm a huge fan of fasting periodically and cleansing, or at least just even like going on a mono fast or something like that, where you eat just one kind of food for a few days to just give yourself a break from other things. I'm a really big fan of just like every once in a while going on a retreat, being in the woods. We really do need to take time and space to reflect, to see like how are things going. And so this two practices of having daily body awareness, some daily body awareness practice, could be yoga, could be meditation, but not meditation kind of thought oriented, more of a meditation that's focused on your body and the sensations of your body and your senses and your feelings in your body. So having your daily body awareness practice, and that you take breaks from things. It's super important to do both of those things, to take breaks, because we're really good at like just powering through stuff. We're really good at powering through it. Yeah. So take breaks and have daily body awareness. And then you'll see that you can notice things earlier. And then you'll see that all of a sudden you're not having these like weird things creep up on you that you don't understand why they happened. We don't know everything, right? We may have parts of our body that we're kind of blocked from in our awareness, and we need to work with that. Even if we try to reconnect with it, we may be blocked from that area. But if we're paying attention to our body regularly, we're more likely to be able to work through all that stuff earlier rather than later. And that's why there's so many people looking for other ways outside the conventional medical system to get back in touch with their bodies. And again, I am not knocking the conventional medical system. It's great. It is for the purpose of dealing with certain types of problems. Like in Ayurveda, we have a 6-stage disease process model, and we consider the conventional allopathic medical system as like coming in at stage 4. So who's dealing with the problems in stages 1 through 3? You at home. You're feeling things before you even reach out for help. Maybe even before you reach out to a quote unquote alternative practitioner of some sort. So you are paying attention early. You're the only one in your body. So you know when it's time to take a break. So if you need to take a break, go ahead and take a break. And you can create a whole plan about like, okay, I'm going to take a break for this long, or I'm going to just, let's just start with a couple days. You can create some structure around it, see how it goes. You can change your mind, but you do want to understand that there may be a period where you do go through a withdrawal, and that is physical and that is mental for some things that you fast from. That will be both physical and mental. It's part of the process. So that's why when you're trying to make changes in your lives, it's very important to have support around you, whether that's you're taking a yoga teacher training, or you've enrolled in a class, or you have a women's group or a men's group, or you schedule coffee with a certain friend once a week. What are those things in your life that allow you to process, reflect, and show up as your highest self, and be patient with yourself and notice. And sometimes you need to be like, encouraged to keep going. But the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in your body. Proof's in your body. If you are embarking on a fertility journey and are ready to have your mind blown about what your body is really capable of and how it's impacted by the environment, then check out my book, The Ayurvedic Guide to Fertility. You can actually download the introduction to the book for free on my website at heathergrzych.com. That's Heather, Grzych.com. Read the intro for free and then buy the rest of this fertility enlightening book pretty much anywhere books are sold. I want to thank you for listening to this show. It brings me great pleasure to provide this content to you. I also want to let you know that I'll be making some very amazing announcements soon. And if you're not already on my email list, then I encourage you to go over to my website and subscribe to my email list so that I can keep you informed about these announcements that are going to be coming up very soon. So my website is heathergrzych.com. That's Heather, Grzych.com. And I look forward to getting these important announcements to you very soon and connecting. Thank you for tuning in and dropping in with us today. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. I really want to hear your feedback. To learn more about my work, visit heathergrzych.com. That's Heather, Grzych.com. And meet me here next time on The Wisdom of the Body.